Hi, fans of high-quality entertainment. I'm excited to do this video. I bet you are excited to watch it. Hopefully. So what I've done is I've gone back in my memory to albums I used to buy in the late 60s and the 70s. And they're mainly artists that you probably have never heard of before. And I'd be very curious once hopefully you watch the whole video, how many of the 12 artists you had heard of before. Maybe not even heard their music, but at least heard of their name before. So here we go. And if you haven't heard of some of these artists, I hope you check some of them out on YouTube or Spotify and then come back and let me know what you think about them. I'll try and recommend at least one or two songs per artist. All right, first up is, no, it's not Elton John, and no, it's not Elvis Costello. It's Elton Motello. I remember buying this having no idea what the music was like inside, but I quickly found out. So Elton Motello is the moniker of Alan Ward, the lead singer and songwriter, and the name of the band itself. And they released 2 albums, and I did buy both. Not sure why, but they were, kind of jumping on the early new wave punk bandwagon. And he had one minor hit with Jet Boy, Jet Girl, which was a cover version that had already been a hit for a French artist. And yeah, this came out in 1978. Remember, virginity causes cancer, so give it up. And I didn't mind the album at the time. Some of the song names, Teen Pimp, Tutti Frutti Alice, Artificial Insemination, Pogo Pogo, He's a Rebel. It was, kind of a fun album, but not to be taken too seriously. And his second album, Pop Art. And that came out in 1980. And then that was the end of his career. But let me know if you've heard of Elton Motello. Next up. Yeah, Lena Lovitch. And this came out in 1978. And she put out 4 more albums. And I just saw her recently. I think she opened up for the B-52s on their tour. And I saw some recent, live footage of her. And she's still, she's in her mid-70s now, and she still sounds very good. And the hit single she had on this album was called Lucky Number. And she also did a cover version of I Think We're Alone Now, which is very good. So anyway, I just remember really liking this album. And I did buy one more album that I don't really remember too much of. And I believe it was called Flex. Flex. And that came out in 1980. That's the back cover. Next artist. Yeah, Man, Rhinos, Winos, and Lunatics. Once again, I bought this in a cutout bin. This album's from 1974, and they did have some success in the UK. Yeah, they released 9 studio albums, including the UK charting album. So if you're from the UK, you might have heard of this band, of course. Their album Back into the Future went to number 23, and this album went to number 24. And they're still going today with one original member, Malcolm Morley. So the genres it says here is progressive rock, psychedelic rock, jam band, pub rock. But anyway, yeah, I really enjoyed this album and I definitely want to get it again on CD. That's the back cover. A song that I would recommend is maybe The Thunder and Lightning Kid or Kerosene. But the whole album is really good. Next up, a Canadian band, Teenage Head, and the lead singer, his stage name was Frankie Venom. And they started in 1974, and I guess they're still going today with one original member, from what it looks like. This is their second album that came out in 1980. And yeah, they had some success here in Canada. I would say they were pretty well known back in the day. And they just never made it, in the States or anywhere else, as far as I know. They had some, personal problems and car accidents and everything, and, just some bad luck. But that was a very fun album. And they're punk rock, garage rock. Back cover. I would highly recommend you check out Disgusting, the final song, and Infected. Kind of also has like a 50s vibe to some of the music too. Another Canadian band. I forgot about them. Forgotten Rebels. And they're still going today, ever since 1977. Well, good for them. uh, and I love their stage names here. So this is basically, punk rock. Yeah, their names: Mickey the Sadist, Al Macombo, Pogo Agogo, and Larry Electrician. And, some of the songs even the titles are disturbing. Bomb the Boats and Feed the Fish. I Left My Heart in Iran. Elvis is Dead. No Beatles Reunion. But that was a fun album to listen to for an hour or so. This is a band from Italy, PFM. Their full name, I'll probably mispronounce it, but it's Premita Forneria Marconi or something like that. And they're very talented musicians. This is a live album. And it came out in 1974. If you want to see some footage of them, they're on the Midnight Special YouTube channel. Just type in Midnight Special PFM and you'll get to see them playing on that show. And kind of similar to Gentle Giant, just very, very talented musicians. And that's the back cover. So yeah, if you're a fan of prog rock, check them out. Next up. Now, not to be confused with the band Monks from, they only released one album in 1966. This is called The Monks. And this album actually did very well here in Canada. I'm not sure about elsewhere. Yeah, so this is a UK band. Two of the members were in the band Straubs, Richard Hudson and John Ford. And they're kind of doing once again, trying to follow the trends at the time. So they're doing new wave and pop punk. And it's not to be taken, I think they're doing it kind of almost like a comedy kind of an album. But they had one pretty big hit here, at least in Canada, called Drugs in My Pocket. And then there's Nice Legs, Shame About Her Face. So yeah, they had a little bit of success. Yeah, The Only Ones. They released 3 albums. This one is from 1980. It's the only one I've heard. And I love this album, and I definitely want to. I would like to get all 3 of their albums, but especially this one on CD. I haven't heard it in years, but just really good power pop rock, I guess you would label it. Yeah, just seeing the song titles, I remember a lot of these songs. I would highly recommend you maybe check out Me and My Shadow or Oh Lucinda, Love Becomes a Habit. Any of the songs, they're really good band. Next up. Yeah, I remember seeing this album in cutout bins in the late 60s. And so one day I finally bought it, and I liked it. It was good. This band is from New York. They released 3 albums, and I bought all 3. But I haven't heard any of them in a long time. Yeah, they had one radio hit with Did You See Her Eyes? And the album track is almost 7 minutes long. So I would highly recommend you check out that song, Did You See Her Eyes by The Illusion. Some bands, it's, very talented bands, but they just don't have the success that they were hoping for. And then they bought their second album in a cutout bin, of course, The Illusion, Together as a Way of Life. And there's the back cover. And then their final album, also in 1970, If It's So. Produced by Jeff Barry. I've heard of him. All right, next up. That brings a smile to my face, just the memories. Yeah, Jonathan Richman and the Modern Lovers, I had more than this album, but this was my favorite. Kind of a childish charm to him. Some of you might remember he was in the opening of the movie, There's Something About Mary, singing up in the tree. Yeah, but a very sweet, innocent album. Abdul and Cleopatra, Affection, Buzz, 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 Back in Your Life, My Love is a Flower Just Beginning to Bloom, I'm Nature's Mosquito. Just, cute songs. And I always enjoyed that album. Next up. Yeah, a Canadian band that had some success. They had, I think, mainly in Canada, though, and a little bit in the States, but they I think they're still going today, but they were one band that I thought, like when this debut album came out, I thought, oh, this is so good. This is going to be the next Led Zeppelin, but that never happened. But definitely, if you like really good rock music with lots of great guitar work, check out their debut album. I would highly recommend the song Starseed. Yeah, and the final band is Max Webster, a great Canadian band. They had, a lot of success here in Canada, but once again, not really anywhere else. So this is their first album, and the song I would recommend you check out Their lead singer and guitarist, Kim Mitchell, is an incredible guitarist. Check out the song Hangover, the opening track. So yeah, I bought all of their albums back in the day. Their second one, High Class and Borrowed Shoes. So this is the late 70s, very early 80s. Their third album, Mutiny Up My Sleeve. And this album, I think this was their best seller, A Million Vacations. It had a big Canadian radio hit with Let Go the Line. So that's another song I would recommend you check out if you love like power pop. And that song was sung by the keyboardist, not Kim Mitchell. But it was usually Kim Mitchell doing the lead vocals. And then, yeah, their final studio album. I didn't like that when a band would only, put one of the members on the cover and the back cover. But at this time, Kim Mitchell was making a name for himself. I'm not sure if he'd started his solo career yet, but he was about to. And he had a lot of success in Canada with his solo albums. So Universal Juveniles. And this album features on one song, yeah, even on the back cover, it's just him. This album features a band some of you might have heard of before called Rush, because Max Webster used to open up for Rush many, many times, and they were friends, right? And so they play together on the song Battle Scar. I bet you didn't know that. And then they put out a live album. Live Magnetic Air. Here's the back cover. So yeah, be cool if some of you check out some of these artists I've mentioned and let me know which ones you've heard of and which ones you maybe check out and say, yeah, I like this, or yeah, this really sucks, Larry. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like the video and leave a comment below, and make sure you're subscribed. Have a great day. Bye.